A person hasn't failed when he makes a mistake. He has failed when he stops trying. An inspirational quote I have seen so many times on social media that I don't even know who wrote it in the first place. But the quote stood true on the 23rd of January in Abu Dhabi, as Dustin Poirier won against the notorious Connor McGregor in the second round of the main event of UFC 257. Leading to the fight, Poirier was a clear underdog among the fans of the promotion, and the stats and both the fighter's history also pointed that Connor was clearly the better fighter. But many other factors came into play when you're talking about fighters in the octagon. Psychology, comfort, confidence, and most of all, preparedness. Connor McGregor over the years has put up a frightening image of himself in many fighters' eyes. You try to punch him, you end up getting knocked out. A beast of a player who was infamous for his bad-mouthed taunts and getting people and fighters riled up before a fight. The fight for all this though, Connor and Dustin had locked horns before in 2014. Where before the fight, McGregor had said that this fight will easily be a first-round knockout. Dustin was no rookie to the sport. Poirier was the UFC's number 5 ranked featherweight going into the fight, but some viewed him as a litmus test for McGregor, who had proven he could dominate headlines, attract one hell of a crowd, and win fights in the UFC. McGregor had not proved, however, that he could beat the best in the world, and that was where Poirier came in. The only time Dustin Poirier wanted to fight an opponent outside of the cage was the week of UFC 178. Poirier remembers standing behind a curtain at the MGM Grand Conference Center in Las Vegas in September 2014, waiting to get on the scale. He recalls seeing a few scuffles in the crowd, which was packed with Irish fans. He remembers being dehydrated and anxious to weigh in. And he remembers tension after weeks of being the target of Conor McGregor's trash talk. That was the scene at the weigh-in one day before the fight. Poirier was outnumbered. He wasn't just fighting Conor McGregor, he was fighting the swarm of fans who had crossed the Atlantic to see him fall. The UFC executives who were making a lot of money because of the attention McGregor was pulling in, and the media who hung on McGregor's every word. I felt like everyone wanted him to win, Poirier says. The UFC wanted him to win. The media wanted this new star. I felt like it was a setup, you know? I felt like the fans in the crowd were there to see me lose. Connor started out with a failed hook kick. Poirier was looking good for a minute with a few landed punches. Although he couldn't keep up with his opponent, seeing himself being backed into a corner, he tried to go for a takedown. Connor, being quick on his feet, pinned Poirier's head down on the mat and started punching him with hammer fists. Referee Herb Dean stopped the match, and just like that, a broken-hearted Poirier was left kneeling on the edge of the octagon while the Irishman danced around the stage in joy. What made it worse is everything that had angered Poirier before the fight came to fruition after he lost. The sport did seem to celebrate McGregor's win, and, at least initially, it wasn't too concerned where Poirier was left. Poirier was 25 when he suffered the first knockout loss of his career to McGregor. Eventually, he would fight for and win an interim championship in the UFC, just as McGregor did shortly after they fought. However, it would take Poirier nearly 5 years and 8 hard-earned victories to get there. Poirier had to fight in 6 non-main event fights over the course of 2 years, while Connor got his title chance after 1 fight. After UFC 178, Poirier fought in 12 matches leading up to 2021, in which he only lost 2. One was Michael Johnson, and the other against the undefeated Khabib Nurmagomedov. While Connor fought in only 8 fights, where he also lost 2, one was against Nate Diaz, and another against Khabib Nurmagomedov. This in no way means Connor didn't care. In the first 6 of the 8 matches, he successfully became the featherweight champion, defended the featherweight belt, and also won a lightweight champion belt, making him the first double champion. That's a lot of champion fights. Even if you are number 1 in the world, that has to put a certain level of stress on you. Although after winning the lightweight title, Connor took a year off, many people speculated that's where he went wrong. While Poirier was still fighting for the chance at the title, Connor was living life in luxury because he had achieved what he wanted to. Even though a whole country was supporting Connor, poor performance and arrogant behavior don't go hand in hand. When he came back in 2018 to fight Khabib, he was manhandled brutally by his opponent. And even though it was Khabib who beat him, Connor faced terrible criticism. After his win against Cerrone, Connor assured his fans that the old McGregor is back and he had something to say about his upcoming match. "I will knock Dustin out inside 60 seconds, McGregor said recently. "I love Dustin, I think he's a good fighter. He's even a great fighter, you know, but great is still levels below me. This did signify new Connor McGregor because he was well known for his trash talking, and this statement was surprisingly humble by his standards. But as Poirier prepares for his rematch against McGregor on Saturday at UFC 257, the situation has drastically changed. He's not a stepping stone for McGregor, he's a former interim champion and one of the most highly respected men in the sport. I've just heard it over and over again from a young age, Poirier says. Teachers, police officers, correctional officers, I was just one of those guys getting in trouble. I wouldn't turn into anything, I wouldn't end up being anything great. Even going back to the Connor fight, like I said, everyone said I was going to lose. Over the past 6 years, which included a loss to champion Khabib Nurmagomedov in 2019, in his best effort to unify the title, Poirier has never really pursued a match with McGregor. His focus has been on becoming a champion, and it still is. He understands a win over McGregor would likely earn him another shot at the undisputed lightweight championship. And going into this fight, that's the motivation. This isn't a story about revenge, and unlike 6 years ago, Poirier isn't being fueled by anger. Poirier has proved himself time and time again. Maybe that first fight against McGregor was a setup, the difference today is he doesn't care. In the recent fight, Poirier landed an early takedown before exchanging rapid exchanges against the fence as he and Connor repeatedly switched positions. The American consistently attacked McGregor's lead right leg, which worsened as the opening 5 minutes unfolded. Having established his range, Poirier slipped McGregor's fluent punches and upped the tempo, taking the center of the ring and unleashing a flurry of strikes that McGregor simply had no answer for. "I'm a happy man, but I'm not surprised. I put in the work," he told Jon Anik in his post-fight interview. First off, I gotta say, Connor has taken this result very professionally. We are 1-1, maybe we have to do it again. I'm happy with the place where I'm at. The win is great, but I'm fighting for bigger things back home with my good fight foundation. I love my wife, I love my city, and I love my foundation. Poirier's current goal for the Good Fight Foundation is to open a gym in the neighborhood he grew up in so kids can have the type of outlet that helped him turn his life around. Poirier understands the life-changing impact his sport can make on kids trying to find their way. And now he appreciates the importance of putting the sport in context. McGregor's defeat represents a huge setback to his plans to regain his lightweight title. The Irishman was hoping a victory over Poirier would set up a rematch with arch-rival Nurmagomedov, having lost to the Dagestani in October 2018.